Radhe Radhe. Welcome to Bhagavad Gita study. I hope you're all doing well. There was a question from a subscriber, I think he's a subscriber, Kaushik Roy, about what sadhana I do and if I do any sadhana. He emailed me and I could have just replied to him on email, but I thought this is relevant for Bhagavad Gita study and I thought I'd address it here. What is sadhana? Sadhana is just practice. In this context, it's spiritual practice. Sadhak is somebody who is a practitioner. And that's why one version of Bhagavad Gita, which we have been studying in this channel, is called Sadhak Sanjeevani, which is Practitioner's Guide to Immortality. Sanjeevani is immortality. It's a herb actually that gives you immortality. So, is sadhana or spiritual practice necessary for studying any scripture? Is it absolutely mandatory? In a sense, it is not. However, it is best practice to have a strong spiritual practice when you're studying any scripture. The reason is you want the scripture to give you good benefits. Right? You want the scripture to reveal itself to you. So, depending upon what you come to the scripture for, if you are for immortality, just like that version suggests, if you want to find out answers and get closer to God or be free and liberated, then a strong spiritual practice is going to aid your study and make sure the meaning of the scripture and the intention of the scripture is fully realized in this sadhak. So he asked me whether I perform any sadhana, and before I answer that, yes, I have a strong spiritual sadhana, a very regular one, a routine that I follow. But what is sadhana and how can it look to different people? In this cultural context in Sanatana Dharma, you have something called Ishta, which is your own favorite deity that you choose to serve and build your spiritual practices around. Ishta is a deity that you like and you want to relate to. Sanatana Dharma is completely based on omnipresence. It is so much so that a stone, if you call it Lord, it's going to become Lord for you. Most of Sanatana Dharma's criticism is about idol worship, and the God is formless and so infinite. How can you just say this stone or this form is Lord? If you look at it the other way, what is formless, what is infinite, cannot be held by the mind. Mind always wants to define things. So, a sadhak or a practitioner starts to focus his energy on a particular piece of a statue or a picture where he says, this is my Lord and I'm going to start to relate to him. He is going to be my father or mother or brother, whatever bhav is a state of mind. Whatever state of mind he wants to relate to this, he's going to relate to it. And as such, it is a fact that Lord alone has become everything. And every inanimate and animate object has Lord in it. So, if you say that Lord exists, so he is so infinite, he is a big, concept, how can you just say that this particular picture is Lord? Then you are just denying omnipresence, because Lord is in that picture too. Lord is in everything that there is, and each atom, right from the minute atom to a big, elephant, to animate to inanimate object, everything in and around and in and through, It is Lord and Lord alone. Mantaha parataram nanyata kinchidasti dhananjaya is your verse in Gita that confirms that. And in every religion, every path, we do believe that God is everywhere. He created it and He resides in everything that has been created around. And so whatever you see around you is all God. So that being the case, this sadhak makes use of that omnipresence concept to build his practice around. So he chooses a picture, he chooses a statue or a small, a thing that he calls God. He has his Ishta, which is his own chosen deity, and starts to perform services to him. And he gives something called puja, which is an offering of the 5 elements. This fire, water, air, space, and earth. So these are the things that you offer to Lord, each element, representing each thing, flowers and, incense and the lamp and, glass of water and stuff like that. You start offering to Lord and you call that puja. There's going to be puja in Sanatana Dharma. That is the practice that is performed everywhere in every Sanatani's house. And there's also the repetition of mantra or his name. So there is mantra japa. Japa is the repetition of the name. And then there is puja, which is the external worship of the Lord. You keep a picture or anything outside of you and you start to relate to it externally. Because internally, without any aids and props, is very hard to begin with. So you start and focus all your energy on a picture and you start offering your services to the Lord that way. That's puja. And then a repetition of his name. Whatever your chosen deity is, you start to repeat the Lord's name so that your mind gets quiet. So there are other practices that several paths do, like just in Sanatana Dharma you have so many paths. There is Shakta, there is Subramanya, there is Ganapatya, where Ganesha is the main deity, and Subramanya, the Shakta, the Divine Mother, is the main deity. There is Shaiva, and there is Vaishnava, where Krishna is the main deity, Shaiva is Shiva. So you choose that, and there are practices within those paths that are mentioned to you, apart from just puja and mantra jap. There are other things that people do to build their practice so that they have a strong relationship with the ultimate. So how does this affect your study? Is that if you have a strong spiritual practice, first of all, a routine is built around this. So most of that time that you spend in your practice, your mind actually resides in sublime levels. Your mind is mostly calm. It doesn't flare up with inflammable thoughts. It's not pulling you outside of you. You're mostly content in just doing whatever you're doing. And the repetition of mantra is just amazing, in terms of quietening the mind. When the mind is quiet and you pursue any study, your mind is clearer. So the scripture is able to reveal itself much more than you doing this without a strong spiritual practice. So a spiritual practice is actually necessary for a good study of scripture. People that read the Bible or Quran or any scripture, they always pray before they start the study that they get the total benefit and God speaks through them. So that's exactly what this is. It's just that you are able to train yourself very strongly to relate to God in a particular way, so that when you open up that book and start reading, you are able to assimilate much more than not having a strong spiritual practice. Spiritual practice also develops a good, strong, as I told you, a routine. routines always are, a matter of habit. So you try to spend 30 or 40 minutes every day. It becomes a habit. 40 minutes you'll be involved in spiritual practices, which may include your study of Gita, which is very good. Soon after your puja or your meditation or your japa, which is the repetition, if you do that soon after, if you do your study soon after you finish those, your mind is very quiet and calm, and you are able to get much more out of Gita than you just, flipping the pages when you are in the middle of something. Or, if you, I mean, you should be doing that too. If you don't get enough time, it's always better practice to at least be in touch with Gita every day. But if you have a routine built around this, it's a very good practice to do. So for Kaushik's question, yes, there is a practice that I follow. It is daily puja, lighting the lamp morning and in the evening, meditating for 15 minutes both in the morning and evening, and doing mantra japa. These are the spiritual practices that I follow. But if you want to develop one, it is highly encouraged and recommended. If you want to do those things, it could be any, just because you're reading the Gita, it doesn't have to be Krishna. If your mind is attracted towards a guru like Ramana Maharishi or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, they are your Ishta, they are your favorite people to follow and relate to. You could still do practices around them and read the Gita. It's all the same. So Kaushik, your question is answered. At the same time, I think this is part of a beginner series, where if you're beginning Gita study, it's nice to have some spiritual practice along with it. I think it is going to benefit the practitioner a lot. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will meet you soon with another video. Radhe Radhe.